Merry meet and welcome. Welcome to the realms of mysticism, the occult, and magic, where your possibilities are only limited by your imagination. Welcome to the witch's cauldron and discover the knowledge you seek. Gather round the cauldron and even stay for a spell. Brightest blessings to you. Merry meet and welcome to the Witch's Cauldron. My name's Paula. Today I want to talk to you about some pretty wonderful energy that is coming our way with the Jupiter-Neptune Conjunction that will begin on April the 12th, 2022. Now the conjunction will occur in Pisces at 23 degrees of Pisces. One of the things that I encourage you to do is to find out where 23 degrees of Pisces is in your natal chart. There are all kinds of free websites out there that will generate your natal chart. You need to know, of course, the date and the exact time and the location of your birth to generate an accurate natal chart. Because otherwise, if you don't know the time, the moon can be a little off, things can be a little bit. Not only, this is probably one of the best aspects of 2022, because 2022 in general is kind of going to be building like in, I'm going to say it, show status after like starting in the beginning of May. And any of the water signs, so Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, you are going to be feeling that energy wherever 23 degrees Pisces falls in your chart, or if your sun sign is also Cancer or Scorpio, or you have a significant amount of Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, water energy in your chart. Pisces is the mutable water sign. Mutable meaning changing, adaptive, kind of unpredictable, and it's unbounded. In other words, it's spilling over the shores. This can bring about really emotional energies, and it can be good or bad depending on where you put your headspace. And it can be, putting you into a very loving energy. It can also really increase your abilities with regard to your intuition and dreams. All of those things that as magical practitioners that we associate with elemental water. Neptune rules Pisces. And if you recall your mythology, Neptune is the ruler of the seas, so the ruler over the waters. Jupiter is a planet of expansion. So you put those two together, that expanding water energy, that expansion of emotion, expansion of intuition, of dreams. The focus during this conjunction is on mysticism, the occult, divination, dreams, manifesting your dreams. Jupiter has a 12-year orbit, so it stays in a sign for about a year, okay, for each one. In general, Jupiter is a pretty positive energy as far as the planets are concerned. It's expansion, recognition, or appreciation for something. Neptune has a much longer orbit. Its orbit is 165 years. So it takes about 14 years for Neptune to move through each sign. Jupiter and Neptune come together in conjunction every 13 years, but not necessarily in Pisces. They came together in Pisces the last time was in 1856. So, to kind of give you a snapshot of what we might be able to expect by this conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, is to take a look at what was going on in 1856. In Europe, in 1856, there were massive floods, especially in France. In 2021, Jupiter made a quick move into Pisces and then moved fairly quickly out. But in the summer of 2021, when Jupiter made that quick little move, there was massive flooding in Germany and Belgium. Jupiter during this time, from mid-May to late July, it was just unprecedented with the amount of flooding that happened in Europe. During this period of time, in 2021, a lot of countries were also easing the lockdown restrictions. With this conjunction, there is the potential for massive flooding again. Pisces is probably the most emotional of the water signs because it is that mutable sign. It's not fixed, it's not cardinal, or, at the beginning. So people in general, you may just have crying jags for no reason, to be more emotional, be more emotionally invested in something. I'm going to kind of go through the shadow side of this conjunction, and then we'll wrap it up on a more positive note. As I said, on the shadow side could be that flooding. There can be issues with water in general, okay? And Neptune is also linked to toxicity. So there may be some new event, new information, new studies coming out about pollution, toxicity, and you may have events that occur, usually like when you are in flood status, if you are in municipal water, and if you are on well, it happens as well that a lot of stuff gets swept, and not good stuff, gets swept into the groundwater and into the water intake. So there may be issues if flooding occurs where your municipal or well water may no longer be potable. In other words, it's not fit for you to drink as it comes out of your tap. So I highly encourage everyone to either store your municipally treated water, buy additional drinking water, and remember, you also have to have, your potable water for cooking. Remember that you have to have enough water for any pets or any animals that you have. So you might also look into water filtration systems where you can filter the water to make it potable again, or to get some of the water treatment tablets that can make water potable. In addition to, taking precautions about boiling your water, et cetera, et cetera. But I encourage that if something happens to your local water supply and you are on well water, and it primarily happens to the city water, chances are there's probably been some stuff that has leached into the groundwater as well. So you may want to take precaution by testing your water if you've had heavy downpours, flooding, etc. in your general area. Neptune is also affiliated with altered states, and I've got a big caution right now. In 1856, people were obsessed with the occult. The big spiritualist movement was abound, especially in America. Okay. There were a lot of, mediums and psychics and spirit boards and seances, and a lot of them were hoaxes. Victorian era people were also very obsessed with the occult and with contacting the dead. I am going to issue anyone a warning that be careful who you listen to, especially with regard to like mediums and psychics, because there will be a propensity for the charlatans to come out of the woodwork and try to capitalize on this reinvigoration in the occult, in mysticism, in the spiritualist movement. Neptune is also affiliated with confusion, psychosis, illusions, sleight of hand, and delusions. Okay. It's also connected with kind of like group hypnosis or hypnosis in general. This leads into the next thing that I'm going to mention is lies, deceit, and manipulation of the truth. Jupiter, rather than also causing this to be more prevalent by an expansion of this nonsense, Jupiter also, as a positive side, shines a light and uncovers the lies, the deception, the manipulation of the truth. Neptune is also aligned with pharmaceuticals and the toxicity of them. So here's where my caution comes in. If you have a substance abuse issue, or even if you are a recreational user of certain types of mind altering substances, you personally can be more prone to overdosing. And I say this with kind of a heavy heart, because I've lost 2 family members to overdose or to physical conditions that happened because they were detoxing in an unsupervised manner. And they had a massive seizure and passed away. So I'm going to give you a caution that if you do partake in substances, be it alcohol, drugs, whatever, that puts you into an altered state, to please be very, very careful. Because you will be more prone to overdoing it and overdosing. And I hate to say that, okay? But this is part of the shadow side of Neptune. There could also be revelations with regard to a widely used medication coming out that it was actually, toxic and caused all kinds of issues. for folks. And you might see like something get pulled from the market because of it. At the end of April, the first part of May, this energy of Jupiter Neptune kind of flips, and energy in general starts focusing more on, I'm going to call it revolutionary energy. In other words, more pushing back. If we also look back to 1856 and technologies, at the time, color photography was being kind of, for lack of a better word, developed. And, I don't mean to be, a pun, but to put it in a more modern perspective, the focus can be on film, media, say even like YouTube influencers, kind of taking advantage. And Jupiter might illuminate any, how can I say, disinformation, misinformation, bending of the truth, not reporting the truth, anything that was used to sway opinion on either side of the fence. I'm not saying left or right. I'm saying in general, mainstream media in general, that more of that may come out. And that may lead to more pushback because we as a collective do not have trust in, legacy media and things like that, with more and more truths being revealed where the truth was bent or presented in such a way to influence one way or another, and this has gone on for a long time. I'm not saying this is a recent development. There's been propaganda and things like that, forever and ever and ever. Just be aware that Jupiter may make more of those instances come to light. Neptune is also connected with oil and then therefore fuel. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, so expect the prices to continue to go up in general and for inflation to continue to go up. In the US and in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, we are at a 40-year high in inflation. And it's really having devastating effects on those that are in more disadvantaged socioeconomic classes, okay, or socioeconomic groups of people. I shouldn't really say classes. On a spiritual note, and I'm speaking to everyone in general who is on some type of spiritual path, do not get too big for your britches during this period of time. Saying things like, well, my way is the best way of thinking, or this is the only path you should be on. This is, blah, 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 blah. My spirituality is more important than yours, and it's better than yours. Don't engage in that kind of. It's toxic. It serves nothing. And it does nothing to build bridges between us as individuals and does nothing to benefit humanity in general. In general, when spirituality is used in that method, we have had some of the biggest wars break out because of religion and spirituality and those beliefs. and having beliefs where you think your way is the only way. And I'm going to throw in a really big caution out there to a lot of my Wiccans. I'm Wiccan myself. I'm a trained high priestess in a Wiccan trad. You tend to put your nose up in the air to other magical paths, to trad witches, to those on the left-hand path, to Satanists, theistic Satanists, whatever path others are on in Christianity, any of the Abrahamic faiths. You tend to put your nose up in the air and hang your hat on the Wiccan Rede when you don't understand what the Wiccan Rede means to start with. You hang it on 8 words that say, "In it harm none, do as ye will." That is not what the Wiccan Rede was about. You haven't read and understand the entire Rede. And the Rede didn't come around until the 1960s. Gerald Gardner invented Wicca in the late 40s. So it was never part of the original doctrine of Wicca, especially Gardnerian or Alexandrian Wicca. So don't put your nose in the air to other spiritual paths. We have a lot more in common than we do dissimilarities. That's my cautionary tale to my fellow Wiccans out there. Don't do it. In film and media, I think possibly there could be a new announcement with developments in the area of VR, or a significant development in that area with the technology and advances in that kind of technology. And I caution you, because there are companies that are trying to develop VR to the point where you can just put your, little goggles on and sit there and just lay in nature and be happy. You know what? Go outside. I would much rather connect to real nature than to connect with a damn bunch of goggles. I mean, seriously, go your ass outside and get some sun and really connect with the energies, particularly if you are a magical practitioner. Don't go down that VR rabbit hole. Get out of your damn house, even if it's to go out on a balcony, sit on the front stoop, whatever, and just connect. Go hug a tree, for God's sakes. But don't rely on an artificial means to bring you happiness or peace. Okay? And it's too easy to go down that road. Now we're going to flip. We're going to go to the positive side of what's going to be going on, energetically speaking, during this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. It's not all, Paula pissing and moaning and shaking her finger at you. This time is, how can I put it? Very magical, mystical. It's a call for you to reconnect to your spirituality, whatever that may be, whatever path you may be on. In those occult realms, it's going to really affect your ability to manifest. Your manifestation energies are going to experience a significant jump during this conjunction. This is a wonderful time for you to set those intentions and dream big. You can start with phrasing those positive affirmations, that manifesting, and kind of get your mind in that it's not going to happen, but it's kind of like right here in the present. In the next 10 seconds is what I call like in the present, where in the next month, in the next year, that's out there in the future. Phrase your manifestation on a kind of like a daily basis, and do it as if it is already occurring or just about to occur in the very, very like next breath that you take. And like I said, this is a time, this conjunction on the 12th will be dream big, manifest kind of thing, but start with something leading up that's just kind of mundane, like finding your stinking car keys in the bottom of your purse or in your pocket or somewhere in your house where you've laid them down, okay? This conjunction is all about sacred energy as well. It reinforces our connection with one another. It reinforces our connection to the divine, to a higher power. It reinforces our connection to source. It reinforces our connection to the cosmos and to other realms of existence. We are not the only thing that's happening in town, okay? And we need to remember that. This conjunction especially wants you to reconnect with source, to that higher power, to that creative energy. It wants you to get back to your spiritual self. Even if your spiritual self is that of a nature lover and tapping into that energy of nature and loving, Mother Earth and Father Sky, do that. This is a wonderful time because we are being called to our higher selves. We are being called to a higher frequency. You are probably also, especially if you already have or are aware that you have abilities of some type, you can expect to have an increase to your existing abilities. You might get a new ability. If you are a clairvoyant, you may become clairaudient, something like that. Empaths, you, I feel, I, I kind of feel sorry for you because you're going to be bombarded with feelings. And you're going to be bombarded with those increased feelings from Pisces, being the most emotional water sign, sitting here in all of this water energy. You're going to be picking up on everybody's stuff. And you're probably going to have an increased you're going to have a harder time trying to filter that out and take care of you. So I really encourage all of my empaths out there or those who have empathic abilities to take that time to ground and center, to try and put on your armor for the day and kind of filter most of the noise out, because this is a time of self-care for you, okay? This is about you and ascending to your higher self. You may also, and this may sound weird to some people, but not to me, it will be a time that you will be able to pick up on the feelings and the state of others' species, like how your dogs are. You may feel a closer bond, connection, and be able to really tap in to see what they're thinking, to what they're feeling, their, kind of state of being. I think you'll be able to do that. This conjunction is also kind of wanting you to let go of ego and to realize that, we as humanity is not all that in a bag of chips. We are a very small part of a great big universe and beyond. but we sure think we're hot stuff. And this conjunction is asking us to let go of that. Okay, maybe we're not so hot stuff. Maybe we're not so evolved, but we can try to be better. Okay. It's encouraging you to get back to source, to get back to what we as magical practitioners typically tap into when we are doing our spell work or our rituals, or a daily walk outside. Tap into source to really pick up on the energies of what's going on. This conjunction is also about unconditional love and being of service, and to showing our devotion to a higher power. You may get signs or dreams of deities that are calling to you, particularly if you are magical practitioners. You may have a deity that you have never worked with in the past, or, never had any experience with them, or I don't like say working with, because we're just, we're not on that level, so we're not on the same level as deity is. But I don't know of a better word to use. From a devotional standpoint, you may have a different deity reach out to you. I have, a couple of deity spotlights, and I've had several people comment recently that Hecate has reached out to them, and they had never, been a devotee of Hecate's, and was not really familiar and didn't recognize the signs until something made my video pop up in their feed, and they watched it, and then their light bulb went on. So don't be surprised if you receive some kind of message, either through dreams or signs, of a deity reaching out to you. Expression of your spirituality, your manifesting abilities, your connection to a higher power can come through some kind of quiet means. You don't have to get out there and, beat your chest and do videos and stuff like that. It can be a lot more quiet, like an expression through art, through creative writing, sending out loving energy just to the universe and to source. Jupiter and Neptune conjunction, as I said, is about dreaming big. Neptune is connected to your dreams. Your dreams may become more vivid, and if you are in a negative headspace, your nightmares may become more vivid as well. You may have better recall of your dreams, and you may get more messages. Your light bulb may come on and say, oh, that's what that means. I really encourage everyone to keep, a pad of paper and a pencil or pen next to the bed. And if you wake up from a dream and you recall it, take a minute, run it through, and then write everything down. Because when you go back and you look at these, that's when your aha moments happen. That you're like, that is XYZ deity appearing to me and sending me a message. This is XYZ ancestor giving me a warning or a message through dreams. You can, if there is an answer that you want, that you have been pondering and the answer eludes you, Before you go to sleep, ask your dreams to give you the answer to whatever it is. Whether it's like, what does this mean? What happened here? Blah, blah, whatever. Jupiter and Neptune conjunction also encourages us to cleanse ourselves and purge the old to make way for something new and better. You may all of a sudden be able to see auras where you've never been able to see them before, and to be more aware of that energy flow and the connection to source. This is all about the shifting of energies and keeping ourselves in a higher frequency to try and stay out of those lower frequency emotions of anger and hate and lashing out, and to stay in more positive modes of love, appreciating one another, appreciating other points of view, and not arguing just for the sake of arguing. I like to say my ex-husband would argue with a fence post. He missed his calling as an attorney because he would literally argue about the littlest things in the world, and it drove me batty. And there's a reason that exes are exes. That's all I'm going to say. For those of you who are magical practitioners, on April 12th, if you plan to do any kind of manifesting ritual connected with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, on the 12th, from the moon will be in Leo in the early morning hours. However, it goes void of course from 6:16 a.m. to 10:07 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time in the U.S. That would be 3:16 a.m. to 7:07 a.m. Pacific. And with the UK, I think Greenwich Mean Time is 5 hours ahead of me, but I'm not sure about the Daylight Savings Time stuff, because we're weird in the U.S., and I admit it. At 10:07 a.m. Eastern, the moon transitions into Virgo. Now, depending on where you are in the world is going to drive when you do your ritual. So if you're in, parts of the southern hemisphere, like Australia, New Zealand, where you're like 14 hours ahead of me, you may be doing your ritual while the moon is still in Leo. For those of you who are doing your ritual when Leo is still in play, when the moon is still in Leo, that energy is about creative expression of self. But it's also about discovery about things about yourself. It's a good time for you to manifest things with regard to, introspection and learning about yourself, connecting to source, that spirituality, reconnecting with your spirituality. But on the shadow side, Leo's shadow side, we are a moody bunch of bitches. And it can be very disruptive, okay? That moodiness can be very disruptive and make you feel disconnected from that source energy, from that higher power, from that creative energy. Now, if you are going to be doing your ritual in a time zone where you're going to be doing it when the moon has transitioned into Virgo, Virgo is great for weaving the liminal, for doing that manifesting magic. Virgos are the analyzers. They're the planners. So this is, again, dream big, plan for the future. However, Virgos can also suffer from analysis paralysis and being perfectionists. So don't get so far down into the minutia of how you want to see things go. Just trust source to let it work out in the way that it's supposed to work out, and you'll end up at the destination you want to get to, but you may go down a different path or a different road than what you were thinking in your mind. You've got to let go. And, I hate to say, what I do to a lot of folks. It's like, let go and let God. Let go and let the divine take the wheel and drive your little bus to the destination. And you need to shut up about where you go along the path. Okay. So don't try to be controlling of the divine and how you think that they should interact with you. Okay. Those are my cautionary tales. Those are the positive, the negatives of the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. We have a full moon coming here very soon on the 16th, just a few days after this. So take advantage on the 12th of that waxing, that expansive energy. And yeah, so I will have another video on the full moon. I will also be doing a video on the she moon that will be occurring, the second new moon of the month that will be occurring at the end of April. So with that, my friends, as I always say, merry we did meet, merry we did part, until we merry meet again. Be well and walk in love and light, everybody. Bye.